Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Product School webinar. Thanks so much for joining us today. So just in case you didn't know, the Product School offers product management certifications online at our 20 campuses worldwide. And on top of that, every week we offer some amazing local product management events and host online webinars, live streams, and Ask Me Anything sessions. So head on over to productschool.com after this webinar to check them out. Today we have an awesome guest presenting. I'd like to introduce you to Vijay Jayaraman. Vijay Jayaraman is a product school leader with more than 10 years of experience. He's worked for companies of all sizes and has experience with B2C, B2B, enterprise, and data products. Vijay brings value from his work experience across consulting, financial services, and e-commerce. He currently leads a team of product managers to deliver the best in-class online shopping experience at the Home Depot, the 5th largest e-commerce company in the US. So feel free to leave questions for Vijay in the comments, and at the end, we'll address them all. Without further ado, let's welcome Vijay. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Nikki, for the kind introduction. And thank you everyone for your attendance too. Without further delay, let's get started into the presentation. The goal of today's presentation is to provide a step-by-step guidance on how to build compelling products in a corporate setting. About 9 months ago, I had an itch to know if my product management skills are transferable. So I switched industries from finance at Capital One to e-commerce at Home Depot to challenge myself as a product manager. The framework in this presentation is what I have used to get myself up to speed and producing results. So this is not just theory, this is how I have put things to practice. We all have seen this Venn diagram, pretty popular, right? Which says great products lives in the intersection of human value, business, and technology. For those who are not aware, let's do a quick level set on what this diagram is. Human values, they are referring to customer problems / needs. Business, if you solve a customer problem, how can we make money? And technology, is a solution feasible to be done within the resources we have? Now, this is a decent framework. I agree to it, but no one talks about how to get to this intersection. By the end of this presentation, you will have a 3-step framework that will help you navigate to this intersection in any industry you choose to be. Let's take a look. Okay, the framework goes in this order. The first being business intelligence, which means, do you have the business knowledge of the product that you are leading at the industry level, company level, organizational level, and product level? Having this business intelligence in these levels will help you build a compelling strategy. The strategy will address these 3 big questions. Why are we building the product? How are we going to build it? And finally, what are we going to build? Right? Once we have the strategy document, we will talk about how to execute this strategy all the way from defining prioritizations to rolling out and increasing adoption. Let's take a deep dive into each of these 3 steps. First, let's take product intelligence. In simple terms, do you know about the product that you're leading? This is your core skill set. If you do not know about anything else, at the very minimum, you should know about your product. The best way to learn the workings of your product is to speak with your engineers and designers. I would do this in week 1. They love to show you what's under the hood, meaning how different APIs are connected with each other, how do you do releases, the tech stack, and everything else. They'll be happy to draw you the architecture diagram of the product and explain the workings. You might not grasp onto everything on week 1, but just take a picture. It will come in handy later on. Designers can tell you why decisions were made from a customer's perspective. They'll be happy to walk you through what parts of the product have better usability and what doesn't. Likewise, business partners and customer service are fantastic resources. Your business partners will show you how the product makes money, and your customer service will gladly tell you all the things that doesn't work. In my previous job, I learned everything about my product from my customer support team. They know every edge case where the product does not work because they are constantly on the phone with customers dealing issues. So if you're looking to find edge cases, the easiest way is to go speak with your customer support team. Speaking with these 4 groups is a great start. You will have a lot of information. Consider these as associate feedback on your product. You need to have an understanding of what your customers are saying. If you are running a B2B business, and you have less number of customers, you should gravitate towards qualitative feedback first. If you're running a B2C product and you have millions of customers visiting your product every day, then gravitate towards data to understand how your customers are feeling about your product. Let me give you an example. I run the online checkout team in Home Depot. I have to do a funnel analysis to know how many customers are coming into the site, and of them, how many are placing orders. There are so many paths between these 2 points to make a purchase. Which path is their favorite? Which path is the least favorite? What parts of the funnel are they dropping off of? How is it different for a sticky customer versus a new customer? How are these patterns different based on if they are accessing your website from desktop or from a phone? The point being, you need to have a documented view of how your product is doing when you take it over. Share this with your manager. This has to be documented and done within 60 days. In my example, I went to my manager on the 60th day and showed him the top 10 ways customers are purchasing an item within Home Depot and where in the purchase flow are they dropping off. He absolutely loved it. Second, organizational intelligence. This is key. A successful product manager would know how different parts of the organization could affect their product. I would go to the admins. They are great resources. Print the org chart and to understand who the different players are. For example, in my case, it is important for me to know from where people are adding an item to cart. Are they doing it from the homepage or search, recommendations? All of these could be separate organizations, and you need to know how your product works hand in hand with others. Learn what is important for your leader. What is their goal? How is their success measured? If you're working on features that do not contribute to your leader's success, you're building the wrong product. Let me give you an example. At Capital One, I was very interested in building a value-added fee-based service for really large companies. In simple terms, I will build a really nice feature, and the only way the feature is sustainable is by adding a fee to it. But my leader's goal was to create more loyal customers, and he was ready to give these services for free to create loyal customers. These 2 goals don't go hand in hand. You need to find ways on how your goals can directly impact your leader's goals and shape your product. Have one-on-ones with your leaders. All hands are a great place to know your leader's priorities. Document goals, KPIs, and parts of organization that you could impact and those who could impact you. Ask your manager if this is the right list. You need to have this in the first 90 days. Okay, so far you have learned how your product works and how it impacts your organization. Now let's go even broader. What are your company's priorities? You have to attend the earnings call. You will hear about the big successes and challenges the company is facing. What are your C-suite folks talking about? What are they investing their money in? Try to find a friend in finance, and if you can find where the money is being spent, that will be very helpful for you. For example, your company might want to target a certain customer segment. And if you're creating features in your own silo that does not cater to your company's priorities, then you have created a less compelling product. The point being, as you're thinking through your product, you need to bring in an outside-in view. What does your company want to do? What is your organization effectiveness measured? And how does your product fit into this puzzle? This will take time, but have this as a continuing conversation with your manager. And try to form an opinion within 6 months. Lastly, industry. How are your competitors doing in your product space? Which markets are they going after? Attending conferences are great. In my opinion, roundtables with your competitors are possibly the best thing you could do, so you could have a more personal, real conversation on how they are approaching a problem space. After each conference, write an article and share with your colleagues. They will highly appreciate it. All of these exercises are to help you not be in your own silo. Having this broad view is what you would bring to your balanced team as value. At this point, you have finished gathering information at a product level, org, company, and industry level. Your desk should now look like this. Now comes the hard part. The difference between a good product manager and a great product manager is the ability to cull through large amounts of data and form insights. Data is democratized for the most part. The skill is to form the insights that others can't. There are varying levels of success. CEOs see that, and this is one of the key skill sets that makes those differences. And when you're working through this, a lot of times you will feel like you have lost it because you're not able to form a meaningful insight, and that's okay. When they say product management is tough, this is what they are talking about. But if you have done the first part of learning business intelligence, you're already a far better product manager than most. And you will naturally come up with a better feature sets than earlier. There was a reason why I was stressing on documenting and sharing with your manager at each phase. It is far easier to get insights out of smaller data sets than wait to do it all at once in the end. Let me give you a framework to use all this business intelligence you have learned so far to build a strategy. Okay, at this point, you have all the documents from your work in business intelligence, right? This is a popular framework for building product strategy these days, answering the why, the how, and the what. The work you have done so far should fit nicely into this framework as I have mapped it. A good product strategy document will answer these 5 questions. Your company's core competency, your target population, your competitive advantage, tactical initiatives that you plan to implement, and finally, financial impact. This should be documented at least once in a year as product strategy document. Now comes the fun part, execution. Now, this is a very easy part. Most product managers get it right easily. Even the ones who are new to product management, especially if you're coming in from engineering, or if you're coming in from design or customer service, you have gotten this right. But I want to talk about a few common pitfalls that most new product managers and experienced product managers, for that matter, fall into, right? Identifying the KPI. It is highly important for you to measure your financial success and your KPIs and share that with everyone in your network. Some of the best product managers that I have seen, they have a one-pager of what they want to do with their product for the following year. And wherever they go, they carry that one-pager with them. So if they're having coffee with their colleague, the first thing that they would do is to take out this one-pager and have this conversation saying like, hey, here are the few things that I'm looking to do for the next year. What that does to you is a miracle. How often have you guys as product managers had this 1C, 2C request coming in saying like, hey, here is a bug that I want you to fix. Here is a pesky request that I want you to do, right? Having this clear mapping of saying like, here's your KPIs that you're like going after for the following year or for this year, and the roadmap on how you're going to achieve it. And then showing that you have this thing in agreement with all of your stakeholders is crucial. Because if someone is asking for a new project to be done and that is going to impact your roadmap, you can cleanly take out and say like, here are the things that are not going to be done if you want me to do it. Are all the stakeholders okay with it? Are you okay with not hitting the KPIs? And those are tough questions to answer before any leader or any other person comes to you with a request that is not a part of your plan. Developing backlog. This is interesting. There are a couple of like really good resources for this. Design thinking and design sprints, they do a fantastic job in this. The idea is to empathize, define what the problem is, ideate what the solutions could be, create a prototype, and test it with your customer segment in a short period of time, right? Let me give you an example of how we have done this in Capital One. So one of our strategic priorities over there was to serve the underbanked or the unbanked population. So what we did was like we got about like 20 families who are unbanked or underbanked to understand what their problems are on why they are not being, why they don't have a bank account. Some of the answers that we got from them are quite revealing. It goes something along the lines of this finance stuff that you all are talking about, that is quite complicated for me, and I don't want to be in a place where I'm uncomfortable. So they just don't like the financial jargon in that place. Or they're working 3 jobs. A mom of a child told me like they were doing 3 jobs and it is hard for me to go find a time when the bank is open. So these are different insights or problem areas that you'll be able to get and say, so if you want to like solve for this particular problem of saying the financial jargons are like, overcomplicating and making them feel bad about themselves, then what are the different ways how you could solve it? If someone is working 3 jobs, what are the best ways for someone to open an account in their own time, right? So the design sprints and design thinking will help you go through all these problem statements, and they'll go through this process of layering and pairing and finding out and building some prototypes and testing with your users after that. The third part is something which is very close to my heart, which is learn, build, measure, and iterate, right? You cannot just release features and call it done at that point. What you have to really do is to measure how your feature is doing along the way. Do A/B testing, right? Do ABC testing. Do beta releases and find out if your feature is doing fine with a small percentage of population. You have to do pre-post analysis. That is where it is going to tell you if the feature that you have released is indeed getting you the financial impact that you promised that it will give you. Look for customer feedback. I make it a point every day that I read customer feedback for about like 30 minutes every day. I spend some time on that. Sales trends. If you have an outside sales team, speak with your sales team and find out like what are their customers talking about. Are they happy with the product? Get some insights from them. The last one is adoption. This goes hand in hand with the previous step, which is learn, build, measure, and iterate. But I want to like focus on this a little bit more. Most product managers these days are focusing on delivering features, AKA they are feature delivery managers as opposed to product managers. Your job as a product manager is to not fall in love with the solution. Your job as a product manager is to not keep delivering features often. Your job is to reduce a problem that we have, solve the problem, and measure it throughout the way, right? Reach out to your marketing team and see if you can do a marketing for a new feature or a product that you have released. Try to increase adoption of your product within your platform. What I mean by that is if you are creating a feature which goes into your app, try to find out ways how you can get engagements to this great feature that you have built. Sales team, tell your sales team about the features that you have built. To give them talking points. So when they go into their next client meeting, then they'll be able to talk about here are a couple of new features and have their client adopt to those new features. Okay, so to recap, we have gone through the 3-step framework. The deliverables at each step is documentation of business intelligence at each level. That documentation will feed directly into building your product strategy. And that product strategy is going to help you with creating your roadmap and sharing that roadmap with everyone else in your company, to your stakeholders, to solve for a specific customer problem. And you'll be able to call out what the impact to the KPIs are. I know we have covered quite a bit over here, but I would like to open up the floor for questions.
All right, thanks so much for that awesome presentation. So we do have a question in the group. Someone wants to know, For funnel analysis, how much ETA is good enough to come up with an accurate flow chart in the current world of omni-channel commerce?
Okay, that's a really good question. How much time is going to be dependent on where your company is in terms of their maturity in collecting data with omni-channel. If you're only talking about like your digital experiences, then it should be fairly easy. Like I said, funnel analysis should be done in under 60 days, and you should be able to have a clear report. I was able to do that being brand new to e-commerce. In 60 days, I was able to give like the top 10 flows and show it to my manager. I think everyone can do that with the new tools that we have.
Okay, and which side do you prefer, B2B or B2C?
Oh, they both are very exciting. So the biggest difference between B2B and B2C is B2B is you'll have less number of customers, but then the impact that each customer brings in is just really big. So your problems are big. For B2C, the excitement of the scale, the number of people that you are impacting, that just makes you happy as a product manager to go back to bed every day thinking that you are impacting a few million customers because of the feature that you have put in.
Great, thank you so much for that. And last question, do you have any final advice for aspiring product managers? Any small tips or what you would like to say to someone who's aspiring?
Yeah, definitely. The first thing that I would do is like if you're aspiring product managers, make friends with product managers who are currently in the business. Try to see like if you can get in a pet project that you can do as in side of the desk, and don't make connections just with an expectation of getting a job as a product manager. Your expectation should be to give as much as you possibly can, see what you can give to that product manager, and then finally ask for it. There is this famous quote called jab, 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 and hook. In here, it will be give, 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 and ask.
All right, thanks so much. I'm definitely writing those down. Those are great tips.
Mhm.
All right, so thank you so much today. And it was great having you here with the product school. And thank you to everyone who joined us. Before we leave, remember that we do offer weekly online and on-site events in more than 100 cities. You can also find us on social media across all platforms at Product School. And be sure to keep up with the latest product management content at productschool.com/theblog. So thank you guys all again for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much, Vijay. And I hope to see you guys next week for our next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great day.